Kink Live in the Bing Lounge is brought to you by Intel and presented by Coors Light. Please welcome to the Bing Lounge, Max Frost.
Howdy. What's going on?
Hey, Max.
How you doing?
Thank you so much for coming in.
Oh,
we
thanks
really
for having
appreciate
me.
it. And, you know, everything going on at the Roseland, we appreciate you making the trek over.
Oh, absolutely. That's a long, long ways away. I found my way here, though.
Yeah. Well, it's at least 1 or 2 stops on the Max, so
Yeah.
that's a decent tram ride, right?
Yeah,
So we appreciate it. Now,
Yeah,
Max, you're from Austin.
Yes.
And when I say you're from Austin, I mean you're actually from Austin.
One of the few and the proud, but not a Marine. But I am from Austin.
It almost feels at this point like that's kind of a unicorn, somebody actually born and bred in the area of Austin who's playing music and still in Austin.
Something like a unicorn, yeah, or like I like to think of myself as like an old, ancient, like fossilized hippie that has been like saved somewhere away that South by kicks up the dust, and then you might see me there fossilized in the stone. I don't know, something more like that. But a unicorn, I like. Maybe a unicorn's a little sexier.
A little bit, but I like that description. That had very image driven. I liked it. But why do you think so many bands? I mean, you know, a third of the bands we're getting in here right now are from Austin. Why are so many people going to Austin? And as somebody who's from there, maybe you've got a little bit of a different perspective as to, is it the music scene? Is it the culture? Is it the weather? Is it the people?
I think it's a combination of a lot of stuff. It's really a bizarre thing, and I never. Growing up there, I never really understood it from the inside. But now that I've, traveled around a little bit and gotten a taste of what some other music scenes are like, and there's some, great music scenes out there in the world, but it's like a bizarre vortex in Austin that the key thing that people can't mistake though is that it's like that's the place where you go to grow and develop. But then the age old story of anyone who breaks from there is that you have to leave and go around.
What is South by Southwest like to somebody who grew up there?
It's like coming into your living room and there's 20,000 people there. No, I'm just kidding. No, it's an amazing thing. It's when I was young, it was just like a cool way that some bands that I knew, smaller bands like that, were kind of getting, hey, I think we're gonna get signed, and people would come through, and then it kind of it became more of a party every year, and it became bigger and bigger every year, and now you can still discover super small indie acts like Lady Gaga and small, this is startup I heard of called Doritos that's just getting started there that I saw that was cool. So there's It's still about the growth.
All right. So in like 3 to 4 years, I expect to be hearing more from these Doritos.
Yeah,
is that
maybe.
How you pronounce it?
They have some good flavors, I heard. I know.
Now, Austin, kind of being the just the hip mecca right now of music. You coming out of Austin, we're kind of looking to you guys as sort of like trendsetters and listening to your EP, Low High Low. I heard like there's some kind of variant sounds. There's a little bit of like different production on that. Do you feel like it's kind of open interpretation, or like it's better to be out there doing your own kind of genre and being like genre melting than it is to be kind of trapped in one thing? Or is it a little scarier that you don't have that base that's going to follow you? If you're not country, that country bass will follow. If you're not folk, or if you're not you've got a little bit of hip hop production, you get a little bit of.
That's interesting. Yeah, I think there's definitely there's cons and pros to that. I think you're definitely taking a risk whenever you try to sort of make a I guess Austin says keep Austin weird, and I guess that's kind of the way I try to do music, is just not necessarily weird for the sake of weird, but I'm trying to make something that sounds to me like it's like not necessarily something I've heard before, because I think I think a lot of time people confuse genre for an actual like description of music. Like it is used for that in a sense, but it's really much more something that describes markets, and that's originally like what the terms were created for. And not to say that there aren't some really, really basic ideas within the music that you could use to like describe a style of music, but the reality is that most of the terms that we use, like, the term of the last 10 or 15 years has been, it's indie this or it's indie that. But that literally just means that all that it originally meant was that it wasn't a major label thing, part of a big genre or something. But now that doesn't really mean anything because an indie band is still on a major label or something like that. So I think for me, it's always kind of been a no-brainer because I would be way too, not, and again, I mean, there's great country music that I love and jam out to and all kinds of stuff that's really strongly in a genre that I love. But for me, I just always have wanted to kind of like make stuff that kind of freaked me out a little bit more with what it was.
No, the EP's out, Low, High, Low.
Yeah.
When are we expecting the LP, or have you been working on that?
I have. It's about done. I've like started the mixing process on it. I'm really excited about it. I don't really know exactly when it's going to be released. It's just going to be kind of a setup for that and everything. But I'm hoping it'll be out maybe late this year or early next year.
Take me through the genesis of a song for you. I mean, your production is incredible. It sounds really complex, and is it a really short process, or is it something that takes weeks, or is it an hour process, or you're in the shower and there's a song?
The time of it definitely varies because I used to, when I was younger, I used to do much more of like a rock and roll process, which was like I would kind of write songs and then go in a studio and just try to play stuff and like compose it from the song up as a production. But then when I started my style changed a lot and I started working with hip hop guys, I kind of adapted more of that process, which is where you really start with a production and start with a sound that kind of, takes you somewhere, and then you build on that and sort of get some kind of a form to it, and then that inspires a song. So, and that's always been the most successful recipe for me. But it's funny because as far as the length of time, it definitely varies now. I mean, I've had some songs take me one day, and I've had some songs where I just keep like being like, but this part I just go back and rewrite it, and it'll take a few months or something like that. But it just kind of depends.
Before I let you go, I just have to point out that you see the shirt in the front row. It's your face on the shirt.
Right. Hey, thank you very much.
How awesome is that to see?
That's great. Thank you so much.
Is
What's
that
your
a
name?
pinnacle moment?
My name is Sally.
Oh, thank you, Sally. I appreciate that.
That's got to feel great. I mean, the majority of us are never going to see our faces on T-shirts. We're never going to have people coming out to support us. And so we really appreciate you being here. Max Frost, everybody.
Awesome, thanks.